who are your favorite candidates for the MVP race this season?
Well, there are two. I think you agree with me here. They're both out west in Nikola Jokic and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. As far as my pick, this is more of a choice that I would like to see rather than I feel like who is more deserving. Because we all know Nikola Jokic is the best basketball player in the NBA currently right now. He's the most impactful, one of the most talented offensive engines we've seen in basketball history. And if the award always went to the best player in the NBA, Jokic would win this award this season. Probably would have won it last year, would have had a chance at a 4-peat, whatever. But the case for SGA is pretty simple. He currently is the most productive two-way player in the NBA, right? He averages 31 a game, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, but he also averages 2 steals and a block. He truly does load up the stat sheet on both sides, and that's what I feel like could give him the edge over Jokic, even though Jokic, it's just more of the same from him. And I feel like fatigue is a real issue in this award, even though I think that's rather idiotic of the NBA press. However, SGA is definitely probably my front runner at this point, just factoring in voter fatigue.
Yeah, you brought up a couple of really good points. Jokic is the best player in the NBA. So far, we've kind of seen voters fatigue, kind of not with him. They finally were like, here, Embiid, take your MVP last season. But he did have a good year. But Jokic definitely best player in the NBA. No question about that. My biggest thing with Denver and Jokic is they do tend to take their foot off the gas sometimes in the regular season. MVP is a regular season award. They're still really good, but they know what their long-term goal is. They know the playoffs matter. They know they're trying to win a ring. So every once in a while, they're not showing up to their games like maybe we know they're capable of. I mean, Jokic is almost averaging a triple-double, and he does have better defense than he gets credit for. But on the other hand, Shai, he's been a super consistent star for a really young team. He doesn't have the same type of pieces around him at this point. Chet has helped that team a lot, but
yeah,
nothing too crazy like Denver yet, keyword. But his defense, like you said, really good defender. He's gotten a lot better as a defender. His positional size really helps that. And, I know you were a big fan of this team coming into this season, but they've been even better than I think you expected them to be. And just being at the top of the West right now, and Shai is a big part of that, whereas the Nuggets are kind of exactly what we thought they would be. And for that reason, I like to give it to Shai just because of the expectations they have surpassed and the type of consistency he has shown in being the leader for that team. I like Shai as being the more impactful player to his current team. We know Jokic has a huge impact, right? No one's going to argue that. But for this regular season award, I like Shai as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's as simple as that, man. Team that's exceeding expectations, even though they were rather high coming into this year. Like I said, I pictured them as a top 3 seed in the West, and I said that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, because of that, would be a top 3 MVP candidate. And I did not think he'd be the front runner. I didn't think they'd be the number 1 seed in the West, even though really they're only separated by a half game between Denver and Minnesota. It's going to be a tight race to the end. So really, these last 15 games could decide who wins the award, because I think it's that close, right? If you wanted to play it safe and you wanted to say, hey, best player in the world, he's deserving of it, go Nikola Jokic. If you want to give it to the new kid on the block in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, I wouldn't be mad either way. The issue here is if Shai won the award, or looking at it from a voter, I'm not a voter. I'm not one of those prized individuals that's supposed to know everything about basketball, even though, what do they really know? But he has not proven really anything in the playoffs We've seen him a handful of times. He's never been the number one option in a playoff series for his team, right? Back in the bubble, Chris Paul was the leader of that team. Back when they played the Warriors, when he was on the Clippers, he was really young. So giving it to Shea before we've seen him in the playoffs, could be a turnoff for some voters. That's all I'm trying to say. Not that that should matter, because again, this is a regular season award, but I feel like a lot of the voters will sway in Jokic's favor simply because he's coming off of, a finals run.
Yeah, and I want to touch on a little more of a point you made just now is a lot can change to end the season, right? We have 3, 4 teams in the West really fighting for that one seed, and it's going up and down. And, maybe one team ends the year on a 10-game winning streak and someone loses 5 in a row, and then it makes like maybe it's the Thunder who fall off and the Nuggets rise, then that might make voting a little easier for some people. But is the NBA no longer about the best player on the best team for MVP? Because I feel like the best player on the best team hasn't won in a while. And if that were the case, Tatum would be getting more consideration than he currently is.
Tatum, the reason why he's kind of fell out of the race was his play as of late. Past couple of weeks, he hasn't played very well. Plain as simple as that. The best player to the best team award. It's interesting because I think a large part in why that isn't the case anymore, or at least as much as it was in the past, was because of the Michael Jordan winning 5 of them, the LeBron winning 4 of them. At some point, they're typically the best player on the best team, and they're typically the best players in the world. At some point, I feel like the NBA has just kind of been like, let's give it to somebody else. It's more of a, what have you done spectacular? Jokic, when he won the MVP, well, back to back, it was the 2 most highest offensive ratings we've ever seen, right? Steph Curry, best player on the best team award, first time around. Second time around, kind of the same deal, but he made almost 500 3-pointers, never been done before. Russell Westbrook, triple-double. James Harden, 36 and 11. You know what I mean? The awards turned into more of, okay, do you have a top 4, top 5 seed in the playoffs? And are you doing something that is unprecedented? That's kind of more rather than, let's give it to Jason Tatum, who's having a good season, nowhere near what Shea or Jokic is putting on. So I think that's the thing, is it's not a team award. So why should it be that way?